even believe it. It is Friday, August 11th, 2023, and it's hot out there. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And again, if you are joining us virtually, either in the webinar or in the chat, feel free to put your name and why you're here, where you're from, and all that stuff. We are a nonprofit organization focused on protecting the Constitution and the separation of church and state. We've been doing that for over a decade. And as you all know, this is not your first rodeo, so you know what amazing speakers that we get. People who include historians and authors, elected officials, journalists. Next Friday, we're going to be speaking with, and she might have my favorite name, aside from our board president, RT Justice, because that's a great name too. But we're going to be speaking with Stacy Champion. I love that name, who helps the unhoused in Phoenix and beyond. If you're on Twitter at all, look up Stacy Champion, because she's always reporting on like what is happening in the zone and how our unhoused neighbors are suffering, especially in this extreme heat. And we're going to continue to have these discussions for the next couple of weeks, I think. After that, I believe we're going to be moving on to the, religious rights obsession with guns, or what I like to call ammosexuals. There are a lot of us who are Second Amendment, we own guns, whatever, but these people oftentimes have hundreds of them. So we're going to talk about that. Is there a topic that you'd all like to discuss? I would love to hear from you if there's something that you want to do a deep dive, because I've really been enjoying doing these kind of thematic events where we are talking about one topic over several weeks to get different perspectives on it. So please go ahead and share your thoughts in the chat, put it on our Facebook. Also, if you're interested in getting more involved with our organization, we're looking for volunteers to help with our school board support initiative. And we're also looking for folks to fill some of our board of directors vacancies. So I know that Lindsay's going to be putting those in the chat. If you are interested in volunteering your time, talent, and treasure with Secular AZ, we will always take your support. But today, I really want to encourage everybody to support the Arizona Atheists Helping the Homeless. And I believe that Lindsay will probably be able to put a link in there for the chat too. And we're going to learn a whole bunch about that group today. One more thing, if you haven't subscribed to our Substack, I've been trying to keep up with school board meetings all throughout the Valley. I would love to expand beyond the state. So if you're a writer, if you're somebody who can be creative and want to get your own Substack out there, we would be more than happy to partner with you if you're willing to cover, especially in the rural places or in Coconino and Pima County. We need people who can maybe, give us some information about what's happening, like in Catalina Foothills, where all kinds of crazy stuff is happening. But today I am here to talk to another champion, even though she doesn't have that name. Sheila Kruger has a long history of volunteer service, starting with Girl Scout cookie sales, UNICEF Halloween collection boxes, and March of Dime walks. She was recently awarded the Workforce Mental Health Leader of the Year. This longtime passion for mental health led to joining Atheists Helping the Homeless Phoenix in 2016. The group started with a small group of acquaintances who brought what they had collected to parks in the downtown Phoenix area for the unhoused. Over the past 7 years, they have built AHH Phoenix from a monthly hodgepodge of items to a twice a month distribution of toiletries, hygiene items, t-shirts, and socks. These items are obtained by way of an Amazon wish list, cash donations, and grants. The giveaways are staffed by an amazing team of volunteers with a core team of regulars and a fantastic phalanx of people who come and go as their schedules and their lives allow. Wow. I am so glad that you're here, Sheila. It's nice to see your face. And with that, did I miss anything from your bio?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I could talk for 62 years about what's happened up today, but that would probably be pretty boring.
Well, I will go ahead then and just hand it over to you, and we are going to bask in your knowledge.
All right. Well, let's hope that works out for you. Thank you very, very much for inviting me. I feel really honored to be part of this whole series, because this is such a crisis in our community and really all around. That I think really needs a lot of attention. And so happy that we were able to put my little group on here, and I'm turning off my looking at myself because that makes me mental. All right, there we go. Now I'm all ready. So yes, Atheists Helping the Homeless. And our 501c3 is actually called Charity Beyond Belief, which I love. Because it's really all about, we're helping people because we are people, and not because we are goaded into this by somebody threatening us with no eternal life or damnation or whatever. So it really is a very human outreach that we've got. Here is our logo and kind of our mission statement. We're a group of secular volunteers, and we work to distribute these items around in the downtown Phoenix area. So I wanted to start with a little history, and I really just have like 6 slides. So if you don't mind letting me go through them, and if there's questions, then we can just chat at the end. Perfect. So this is probably like homelessness 101, which is probably way below what everybody already in this group knows, but just really fast. Wanted to talk about, how does homelessness happen? Here's some of the reasons that are here. We know that government assistance isn't enough. There's a lot of private groups, secular and non-secular, that are helping, but it's really, really hard. And the latest surveys show that 60% of people in the United States are living paycheck to paycheck. And surprisingly, if you're making over $100,000, that number only drops to 49%. So that's still a lot of people that are living paycheck to paycheck. And so obviously, 3 or 4 paychecks, if you don't have them, if you lose your job, you could be definitely peering into a life of homelessness, which is really, really sad. So there's a lot of things around why that happens. And again, like I said, I could talk for 62 years about that, but I'll just leave it at that. I think to let you know a little bit about our group, like we mentioned, the group started in late 2015 or early 2016. The roots are a little murky, and I wasn't in it from the beginning, but there was a Sunny Slope resident and a nurse here in the Valley, and they lined up this Facebook page, and suddenly we had Atheists Helping the Homeless. And so, as I said, the Mod Podge, you can really see here, this was one of our giveaways that was at Washington Park. And there was the person taking the picture and the 3 of us. And what you can see there in front of us is we had water, personal wipes, squeezy applesauce, and granola bars. That was it. That's all we had. And so we would meet. Thankfully, this wonderful gentleman brought his tent so we could be in the shade. And when stuff was gone, that was it. We were done. And the group really just moved around from park to park, different places every month. And so we didn't always have a lot of participants coming either, because the Facebook page was really, really pretty scant. So there wasn't a lot of follow-up there. But this group was part of a national chain of groups that had started in the 2000s. By Joe Z. And he had there were over 20 groups, and they were all over the world. There was a group in India. I think there was one in Australia, if I remember correctly, but they were all over the United States as well. Joe's theory was that there should not be a 501c3 involved because it was too easy for administrative costs to start taking away from the mission. And so as some of these groups got to be bigger and bigger, the need and the desire to be a 501c3 to help raise money really kind of overcame some of those principles. Josie bowed out of the organization, I want to say around 2018, maybe. The whole story is on our Facebook page if you want to read it, around 2018. And then some of the other groups started kind of getting together and linking up and thinking, hey, this is something that we need to continue. How are we going to do that? So there's an Atheist Alliance in St. Louis. Our group is under the Charity Beyond Belief 501c3, which is housed in South Carolina. So there's 2 chapters in South Carolina. And then we're also affiliated with the Denver group. And of course, the minute I said that, I can't remember the 5th one, but there's 5 of us under that 501c3. So it's really nice to be able to have those folks with us to help with fundraising. The president of the 501c3 is a real proponent, and he's an amazing guy. Shane Hammock is his name, and he also is he and his wife do cat rescue and fostering, and so his Facebook is full of kitties, which makes me happy. So anyway, that's really kind of how that happened. So once we have that 501c3, I think that's really when everything kind of started to take off for us, and that and the Facebook page. Having somebody that really modulates that Facebook page and, puts content out there and gets people going. So I think if I remember correctly, the last time I looked, we had about 1,500 followers on that Facebook page, which to me is amazing. Of course, I'd love to get it higher, and that'll be part of how you can help when we get to the end. So what do our giveaways look like? So we set up giveaways on the 1st, 3rd, and the 5th Saturdays of the month, if there's a 5th one. We have occasionally partnered with, but now we are absolutely inked in with the partnership with Trevor's Vision, which is a religious group that provides a shower truck, and it's set up those same Saturdays at Grace in the City Church. And I think when the Atheist Conference was here in April, there were a lot of people that really surprised about that. But we find that group is also very centered on being humans and helping. And there's not a lot of I've never seen any proselytizing there by anybody but the unsheltered who are coming. So it's been a really, really great partnership. And, for somebody to be able to come down and take a shower, get all cleaned up, and then they can walk over to our area and pick up toiletries to help them maintain that hygiene throughout the next period of time. So you can kind of see here on the table, what we do is we set up all these toiletries that are donated or purchased, and they're just set up kind of like a little mini Walgreens store. So we really talk about, it's just kind of a mobile toiletry stop. We let everybody know, we set it up so that there are bags at the beginning. So if people don't have a way to carry things, we give them a bag to carry. Then we've got some snacks, usually light snacks, granola bars, fruit, things like that. We try and keep them as healthy as we can. And also granola bars, not hard and crunchy ones, because dental care is really an issue on the street. So soft granola bars. And then they're able to go through the rest of the line and pick out whatever they want. And our only rule is take what you need and need what you take. So, people are always scared to take one or two. And we're like, if you're going to use them, take them. That's great. And so we have a really good response from that. And new people are always really amazed at how much we do have. And then we take requests. So if somebody says, hey, we could really use this, batteries are a big one. Tarps are great, things like that would be helpful. Then we'll try and get those into the rotation as well as we can. The other thing, we have not redone this since COVID, but pre-COVID, I would set up a kids' day on probably every 3 months, and it was at my house. And the kids from my neighborhood would come with their parents, and they would do the things like putting the laundry soap in the jars and taking Q-tips out of the big package and putting them in a smaller package. For a while, we got razors that weren't packaged individually, so they would put those together. I'm trying to think what else. First aid kits. We put together little first aid kits, things like that. I think we're probably going to try and start that up again. Our new storage space has an area where we can do that. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, and we'll probably do a big call for kids to try and get folks down there. And it's pretty conveniently located around 16th Street and McDowell. So hopefully people can show up. I don't think I'm going to get to make pancakes for people anymore because there's no kitchen there, but maybe I'll have to bring muffins and donuts. So on a typical Saturday, we all kind of congregate here at about 10 minutes before our start time. And you can see those big tubs on the left there. We have 4 of those. We get those all unpacked. There's another couple that brings a bunch of stuff with them as well. And we get everything set up. And usually by the time we're ready to go, we've got a line of folks ready to go through the line and pick things up. So it's just been super rewarding for everybody. I don't think I've ever talked to somebody who volunteered who didn't really enjoy it. It can get hot. When I talk about how y'all can help, you'll see, what we've done to try and make that a little more enticing. So here it is. Here's how you can help. and there's 2 slides because we need a lot of help. That Amazon wish list is there. You can find it with that tiny URL, or you can use the QR code. I think one of the most important things you can do, vote, 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 vote. We need people in office that are empathetic and are going to listen to the needs of the community and help out with this problem in all of its myriad ways that it happens. There's so many things that can happen. It's like domestic abuse support and addiction support, all of those things. If you want to make a PayPal or a cash contribution, you can do that on PayPal. And if you do that, also make sure, check to see if your employer matches donations and see if you can do that. We are listed on the site that most companies use for matching as charity beyond belief. And if you put in a little note there that it's for Phoenix, then my wonderful South Carolina folks just forward me the check, which is wonderful. Also follow us on Facebook. That's really pretty easy to do. We'd love to keep you informed. We aren't like crazy posters, but a couple times a week. And of course, right before a giveaway, you're going to hear from us. And recommend us to others. Anything that you can do to help us get the word out of how people can help. And then our Facebook page is there. Hotel toiletries. This was really a big part of how we started. It was a lot of, several of us were doing a lot of traveling, and we had so many hotel toiletries. So that's what we were giving away. So that's amazing. Again, your donations could be matched by your employer, so check on that. And if you hear of any grant opportunities, or if your employer sponsors a grant, we would love to hear about that. And we will get my husband, the grant writer, on that right away. So, and then last of all, but certainly not least, is to volunteer. And I just wanted to put these pictures up here to show, kind of what we're about, how we work, and really point out that, gosh, it's such a fun group. And I have to say, it's so easy. It's really, like I said, 10 minutes before we start, it's usually about 1 hour help. So it's not a big part of your day. We do 8 o'clock in the summer, 9 o'clock after it gets a little cooler, we move to 9 o'clock. And we do have, it's not in these pictures, but we do have a 20 by 10 shade tent. And we have cold water, and we're lots of fun. And so you can tell in this picture up here on the right, it's a winter picture because there's the coffee urn that we bring in the winter. And then, any of the clothes. I think I mentioned we set up, the bags at the beginning, and then the toiletries. And then at the end, we've got clothes. We have a grant from Bombas to get socks. And so we are giving those out all the time. They are very generous. Please buy Bombas socks because that's what keeps our folks in socks. And the other thing is we do have a few people of volunteers who, when we make hygiene go packs, we'll keep those in our cars with a bunch of socks and then hand those out as we're roaming around the city. So all those kinds of things are really, really super helpful. So I'm going to turn this off and stop sharing because I see lots of numbers in the chat channel there.
Well, Lindsay has put every single link that she could possibly put up there. So that's great. And I put them on our Facebook page too. So people
Wonderful.
can, hopefully easily find you and help you out. Let's see, let me go back through these comments here. I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and give a shout out to Julie Sanowski, who's here right now or is she still here? She is still here. I just want to give her a shout out. She is the president of the Scottsdale Unified School Board, or School District Governing Board, and she is the best that I've seen as far as gaveling and maintaining decorum. And I mean, she's a champion for for public education. So I just want to give you a quick shout out. There's so many other people here but right now, I think that our school board members are really champions. So yeah, we're really hoping that you might consider running again, Julie. Hey. Anyway, okay, let's see.
Yeah. I see Mars is asking about the grants.
Oh, okay, hold on one second.
Okay.
Let me get to Tim's first, because then if I don't do it in order,
nope, you're good.
Yeah. All right. Tim asks, have you ever worked with cloud-covered streets for showers and laundry? I think they are not religious, but not positive.
Yeah, we have not worked with them. I'm very aware of their work. They are amazing. And I love their fundraising too, with their t-shirts that are made by disability, developmentally disabled folks. I just love that, love that, love that. But we have not worked with them. We probably potentially could. I think our biggest limitation really is volunteers. We have enough stuff. And the reason that we started doing 2 a month, because for a long time we just did the last Saturday of every month, and then we started doing 2 a month because we had all these wonderful donations, and it's like it's not doing any good if it's sitting, at the storage unit. So we started with 2. I would love to be able to go out every weekend, but I personally can't do that physically, and I think that's a lot to ask of the volunteers. And I don't know that we really have enough to say, hey, here's team A, team B, team C. I would love to get to that point. Because I do think the other part of that is, because I'm looking at the corner of my eye about other parts of town, it's like, it would be great to just say, hey, if you're in Mesa, let's talk, let's share resources, let's do whatever, and just use that one central location to pick things up and go. And, I would love for that to happen. I'm absolutely open to those kinds of things.
Great. Yeah, let's get to Mars' question. Mars asks, can you talk about some of the grants that you've been awarded?
Yeah, absolutely. Our very first grant was from Procter & Gamble. They have an invitation only grant, and I'm lucky enough to have amazing neighbors, one who works at Procter & Gamble who recommended us, and we did get the grant. The second year that we applied, we got it. So that grant writing, it's not just easy. It's a lot of work. So the second year we did get that grant, which was awesome. We have gotten money from we have a monthly grant from Go Humanity, which is amazing. I know the humanists are also Go Humanity members and have a grant there. We've gotten money from the Freedom from Religion Foundation. And actually this afternoon, I'm going to one AZ credit union to accept a big, huge check for $5,000 that we got in their community grant. Yes. And that really is one of the members, and the person that got me involved actually works at one AZ, and she kind of pushed and said, hey, listen, we need to not be so not just concentrate on these religious organizations. And she kind of pushed through and encouraged her boss to put that one up, and I was really happy about that. I think it probably has to do with the fact that we submitted it as charity beyond belief instead of Atheists Helping the Homeless, but whatever works.
Right. I mean, come on, it's 2023. Atheist
it's
not
like
a
we're
dirty
everywhere.
word.
Yeah. I mean, look at the statistics, how many people don't believe. It's like, come on. Yeah.
Well, that's why
sure.
we're hearing the death rattle of the evangelical crowd. You went to the American Atheist Conference, and Andrew Seidel said something like, this is it's that one poem, rage into the dying of their privilege. That's what he said, because it's their privilege that is going away and they don't like it. And that's why they put forward all these, extremist bills in state legislatures all over the country. So, okay. Mars also asks, wait, before I ask that question. So, do you work with the Arizona Community Foundation at all? Because go ahead.
We have not. No, we haven't.
You should really look into that. We recently kind of, started a partnership with them. They will help you with investments. If you get a big dollar donation, they will help you secure grants. But definitely look into the Arizona Community Foundation, because all they do is help nonprofits. That's it. And an organization like yours is very much different than ours. I mean, you're doing something really. I mean, we're doing something very important, but yours are very tangible, and so you might be able to get some grants from there, and I would definitely look into it.
Yeah. And just a little side note on that. I have to tell you that my real true dream is to have all of this set up on a trailer with shelves where people could go through. And of course a ramp, because we get lots of folks that are on scooters or with wheelchairs or walkers or whatever, and to just be able to pull that into the storage unit, restock it, and take it out whenever we wanted to. I would love to get to the point where we were comfortable enough with our finances that we could support something like that. because it's a lot of work to pull. I know those big old tubs are full of, shampoo, conditioner, lotion, really heavy. It takes a lot of physical labor to get everything set up. So having something like that would be so awesome.
Did you hear that, folks? What they need is a trailer, a mobile unit, so that they can help the unhoused neighbors in our communities to get everything that they need. So that should be easy. I'm sure one of you has a trailer sitting around in your driveway or backyard. You got a few $1,000s that you want to spend. I see them on Facebook Marketplace all the time. It should be easy, guys.
True.
Come on, let's go. Let's see. So here's another question. How could a group start similar giveaways in other parts of town? That comes from Mars.
Yeah. And I think we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
I really just reach out, and I'm happy to help if you've got, it really takes, it's the volunteer part that's hard. I'm happy to just have those as part of our group, and, just advertise and get the word out on our Facebook page that we're in another part of town. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah. And, Humanist Society is right there in the border of Tempe and Mesa. That could be a great place for folks to congregate who want to do that kind of work. And I know that I'm going to give them a shout out too, because I know that the Humanist Society now has they have like a little refrigerator there, a little kind of pantry there, and a shady, their shady patio spot, because it is so hot. And I did put it in the chat. I yesterday stumbled upon this guy's TikTok. I'm not huge in TikTok, but I'm paying attention more and more. And it's this guy who just goes around and interviews the unhoused around Phoenix, and their stories are absolutely tragic. So many of them stem from domestic violence. So many stem from human trafficking, sex trafficking, drug abuse, and or not drug abuse, but there's a better way to say it these days. People struggling with, I can't remember. Anyway, I always try to be a little bit, I try to grow every year to be a little bit more politically correct. Julie, the amazing school board president in Scottsdale, says, do you ever coordinate your efforts to work with other shelter orgs like Family Promise of Phoenix?
We haven't done that. We do. One of my other neighbors is the director at St. Vincent's. And so a lot of times we'll get donations. Like, we don't have a lot of space for clothing. So if somebody brings a bunch of clothing and we're not able to give it out that day, I may carry it over one more giveaway, but a lot of times I'll send that stuff over. And there's other things that we get donated. I'm still old school. I don't like to donate medicine. I don't like to give out medicines, the mouthwash stuff. So some of that I will pass on over to her. I should probably do the same thing she does. She's got one of those big cardboard trash cans in front of her house that she's just got St. Vincent's listed on it, and people can just drop off, which is great, because that's just what we do. We all from the neighborhoods drop stuff off. But yeah, we're always open to working with other folks as well.
And it makes me think too of Goodwill, which is, I'm learning more and more, an awful, terrible organization that doesn't really do as much good as you would think that they do, but they do have those little bags, where, that hang on one of the walls, and you can get a whole bag filled with, hotel toiletries and stuff like that. Mars has another idea, because Mars is full of ideas.
Awesome. Yes.
I wonder if a giveaway at the Humanist Society of Greater Phoenix Center could be a thing. It was tried before, but it was difficult. It was a difficult start and fizzled out for various reasons. So there's something to consider. They're always, they're one of the few places that has a brick and mortar. And so it's nice to be able to partner with him. Jill says, awesome, on the 1AZ grant. And then Mars, another question. Do you get any NIMBY pushback? Not in my backyard. Yeah.
Oh, the stories I can tell. Yes, we do. There's an abandoned commercial building at 2nd Street and Moreland. And every once in a while, that owner will come around, and he and his little buddies skulk around. And I think the last time they came by, he was just staring at us, and his little buddy was taking pictures of our sign and all this stuff. And finally, somebody from the group went up and asked if there's something we could do to help them. And he was like, this is my neighborhood, and you wouldn't want all these people on your lawn. And he's like, I'm taking pictures of all of your license plates, and I'm going to bring a bus of homeless people to all of your houses. And we were like, great, thank you, because we'd be happy to help them.
Yeah, how very
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis of him,
Yes, yeah.
Jeez.
But I think there was on First and Moreland, they put up an apartment complex probably about 5 years ago, and right after it went up, there was a woman on the second floor on her balcony who apparently didn't like the view. And so she was screaming at the group too about, get out of here. You're the ones bringing all the homeless people here. And I'm like, you know what? They were here long before we were, and long, long before you were. So,
yeah. And the lack of compassion these days never ceases to amaze me. I'll tell you what. Mary.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I just want to tell one more story, because one of the things early on, we would get a couple times we got there and the park people would go through on their little golf carts, and then suddenly the sprinklers would go on, even though it was pretty obvious they'd already been, run that morning. And we've really progressed with that team to the point where a couple of giveaways ago, one of the guys went by and he got out of his cart and he walked up with a trash bag in his hand and he said, hey, I'm going to need you guys to get out of here. This isn't the place for this. And then he's like, no, I'm kidding. He goes, here's a trash bag, so you can use this to pick up trash, which we always do. But so sweet. And so we've really, I think, turned a corner with the park folks there, which is really nice that they're a little more invested in it too.
Yeah, I'm in the Sunny Slope area, and so there's a few shelters up here, and there's definitely we have a lot of unhoused neighbors in this neighborhood. And like I said, I drive by and I'm just like, I try to have waters in my car so I can at least like pass out a water. There's when I see somebody just sitting on the hot pavement, I can't even imagine. Yeah. Mary is ready. She says, would love to start a Tucson chapter. How about it, Tucson members? That's right. Come on, Tucson. Although I will also give a shout out to the taco team in Tucson. That is the Tucson Atheist Community Outreach Team. They do a lot of, they help their unhoused neighbors down there. They might be a great partnership for you all. I'm sure that you could coordinate, or at least, I don't know, use each other's social media to build each other up. But they do backpack drives and all kinds of stuff like that. Awesome. Let's see. Shannon is asking, is there a way to sign up to volunteer for those without a Facebook account? So do you have a website beyond Facebook?
We have the cbb.org, which is the CharityBeyondBelief.org, but we really don't keep that up with much of anything except a link to our Facebook page. But there are email addresses there. So I'm certain I can certainly take emails and take questions. There's just not a sign up sheet there. But that's a great idea, because you're the second person. I had somebody for a while that was just texting me back and forth. But I know that gets to be a little bit of a pain in the butt. So yeah. I know a lot of people use that sign up. Even the county uses that sign up app to do that. So I'll look into that. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Or I mean, like maybe even a meetup page, or, are you utilizing the community calendar that we put together? So,
yep.
You know what, Shannon, you can go back up and take a look at our Secular AZ calendar. There's a link that Lindsay put in the very beginning, and you could probably get that information from there. But yeah, Matt, let's see. Matt says, Mary, have you touched base with Taco? Okay, so yeah, that's basically what I said. Oh, look, there we go. Shannon, you can see the schedule at this website, Atheists Helping the Homeless. Thank you for sharing that link, Mary. I think maybe this is a half of a question. I think it had to do with your other question, Julie. Oh. Do you directly work within our schools to help with McKinney-Vento families? What a great question. And wait, for those who don't know, McKinney-Vento is an act, a congressional act that gives certain protections to our students who are facing homelessness and those families, so that, like, if you're unhoused, you don't have to, there's guarantees that you get travel, that you get, you get transportation back and forth to that school. So at the very least, if a child is homeless, then they can have some consistency with their schooling. So do you work with school districts? That's a great question.
We really have not. And again, it's, the focus has been a lot on adults that are down in the downtown area. So I don't remember a time, I think, that I've seen a child at one of our giveaways. We see a lot of veterans. We see a lot of Native Americans, and that's probably the biggest group that we see, even, definitely more men than women that we see as well. And so we haven't really worked with the schools. There is another nonprofit in my neighborhood that does work with the schools for food support. And I've worked with her, but we haven't worked with her as a group.
And you bring this up, and here's something that I've been seeing. As you all know, I go to a lot of school board meetings, and it's not easy just because of the nonsense that's happening. But a new thing that I see happening, which just astounds me, is that some of these radical school board members oppose any kind of wraparound services for students. They're opposing mental health services. They're opposing shoe drives. I saw that just this past Tuesday in Deer Valley, where two board members, one who, by the way, is a registered Republican, and another who's a registered Democrat, but it's a nonpartisan office, they work together to ensure that kids in their Title I schools who had cardboard in their shoes actually had a new pair of shoes. And one of the other board members said that's outside of the purview of a school board member. It's not in the job description, but making sure that our children are taken care of is part of your job as a school board member. So I don't even understand, like, they're opposed to the education of the whole child. It's disgusting and it makes no sense. So I appreciate groups like yours and districts, public school districts, who continue to partner with organizations like yours. But I think that could be a great opportunity. There's a lot of talk in here about the taco team. They are great. Yeah, I started, because I apparently hate myself. I started watching the Paradise Valley School Board meeting today, and part of the ASBA, the Arizona School Board Association's legislative agenda, is to ensure that every child has a free breakfast and lunch. And there are school board members who are opposed to that, like opposed to feeding hungry children. Make it make sense. And again, if you want to run or if you want to support your local school board, I'm here to help. All right. Let's see. I support Youth on Their Own in Tucson. It has a pantry and mobile van that visits schools. That's fantastic, Mary. That's good to know. We'll have to take a look and see if we can find their information. So are there any other questions? If you've got a question here for Sheila, please go ahead.
I see one about donations for homeless pets. Yes.
Yeah, I missed that.
We've only had dog food. I don't think I've ever seen a cat, but we get a lot of dogs. And so we do hand out dog food to people. I do know that's one thing we're almost out of. Just happened to know that off the top of my head. I think we're down to 3 bags of food. And one dog that comes on a regular basis has decided he doesn't like our food. So I'm like, sorry, doggy. But that could be a whole nother discussion. It's really funny. But anyway, yes, absolutely. We don't have any toys or anything like that, but we have always had food for the dogs so that they have that. And then, of course, we've always got water for the people, and we're happy to hand that over to them for the dogs as well. I'm thinking about another thing that we get a lot of, which is amazing, is I have a friend whose kids are in a private school, and at the end of the school year, they have all the water bottles that the kids have left behind. And so we get all of those, and I wash them all up. So we're able to get those out to people too, because I don't think it's even just a stereotype. There's a lot of trash. A lot of stuff just gets pitched on the side of the road. So if somebody's got a really nice water bottle that they can reuse rather than a Polar Pop cup, that's a win-win for everybody. So.
No, I completely agree. And then, because I know I have my metal water bottle here, and like, it's insulated, so it keeps it cold,
Yeah.
There's another question, and this is a great question, Mars. Mars asks, does atheism come up during your giveaways?
It does occasionally. We've had some folks who talk to us about, the fact that they're maybe not atheists, but they're not really religious. They're more spiritual. So we have that conversation. We did have one incident with a woman who, when she realized that we were atheists, she was very upset that she was getting stuff from people who didn't believe in God. She actually turned over one of our tables, which we have immediately thought of Jesus in the temple turning over. It's like, why do all the atheists know this story? But it's really funny. It doesn't come up an awful lot. And every once in a while, we'll get somebody that is really passionate about their belief, and they'll talk quite a bit about it. And that's fine. Almost to a person, we get "God bless you" as they walk away. Thank you so much for doing this. And of course, we're all like, that's not going to bother us. A good thought is a good thought, no matter where it came from. So we're just happy that they're happy.
Yeah.
But as far as, I don't think, maybe one time we had a really spirited kind of debate with a gentleman about atheism, and he was really trying to convert us all, and that didn't happen.
What?
By the way, it
Can't
didn't
believe
work.
it.
It didn't happen.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So I just saw the other day, I was watching, I think it was actually Stacy Champion who's going to be joining us next week. She was, in the zone, right? And there's just dogs, the folks who do have dogs, they have, little like tubs, totes, and they fill them with water because those poor dogs too,
Yeah.
And I remember seeing one time too where they were kind of busting up some homeless encampment, right? And they're taking the dogs, and I'm like, that is the cruelest thing.
Oh my God.
If anybody took my dog away from me for any reason, there would be hell to pay. And I just feel like, like you can't take somebody's dog away, because that's like their companion, and maybe even helps keep them safe on the streets too,
Yeah.
Let's see. I think we have some questions coming up here. Some do notice we are atheists and ask about it. This is Mars again. It's only been positive conversations in my experience. And yes, Moxie is the best dog ever. Matt is asking, and this might be a question for next week, Matt, but Matt is asking, any update on the zone and where people are recongregating now that so many have been pushed out of the zone?
Yeah, I'll bet Stacy is going to have a way better answer for that than I do. I'm not really hooked into that hotline.
So you've been doing this now for a while. I'm wondering, what kinds of trends are you seeing that maybe you didn't see back in 2016 as far as the demographics of the folks that you help?
Yeah, I do think we're seeing a lot more younger people than we did in the past. I think especially pre-COVID, the group, not that it was geriatric or anything, but it was definitely people that were older, like 40s, 50s, 60s, and an occasional young person. And now I think we're seeing a lot more young people. So that's really tough.
Do you, I'm sure you have an opportunity to talk to these young people. As a matter of fact, I had a former student reach out to me couple weeks ago. They had lost their job and were working really hard to try to find a job, and we're not able to find anything, and we're facing eviction. And eventually, and I was like, gosh, I'm so sorry, sweetheart, if I could. But at that point, she was a couple months behind on rent. Thankfully, she has family, but from what I can gather based on her social media, because she reached out to me on Facebook, that family is not a pleasant place for her to be. But so she ended up going back to the East Coast to be with her family. But that's the other thing that I noticed about this TikTok, person who posts all these videos. I couldn't believe the number of young people. Now, do you think it's like, what is the story with some of those? Is it LGBTQ youth who maybe have been kicked out of their home? Are these kids who maybe were trafficked at some point and got away from their abuser, or what?
I think it could be all of that. I do think a lot of it still is, if you are working and you're living paycheck to paycheck and you lose your job because of the economy, there's not always something else for you to do. And even with the folks that have been out for a while, we see a lot of theft of things. Somebody will come to one of our giveaways and say, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here because somebody stole all my stuff last week." So they're, stocking up. So one thing is, if your ID gets stolen, you are really in a bind, because to try and get a job that's going to, pay with any benefits or anything like that, you don't want to just do cash under the table if you need benefits. So there's just, I think, a lot of reasons. There's definitely mental health issues. I think we're seeing a lot, partially because, I think COVID was just so devastating for so many people.
Mhm.
And it's just, that was the last straw for a lot of folks on the mental health spectrum. And so that, pushes a lot of people over. But it's, I think it's like everything else. There's a story with every person, right? And they're all different.
There is, and there's a humanity to every person, and I'm sure, I don't know if your group actually goes down to the Capitol and pays attention to any of these committee hearings that go on, right? But it was Justine, also known as Just Mean Wadsack, from the Tucson area, who was pushing a bill that would essentially criminalize being unhoused. And I remember that Senate committee hearing because Ana Hernandez referred to them as our unhoused neighbors, and Senator Wadsack said, I find that offensive. These are drug addicts. These are she completely dehumanized them. And again, I encourage you, whether you're on TikTok or not, to maybe look at some of these videos, because it really does, it's like a missed paycheck. There was one woman who was shot in the head by a boyfriend and ended up being paralyzed on one side of her body, and had children and couldn't work. And she's in a wheelchair out there, and she's like 27 years old or something. I mean, like, the stories are so personal and human. Any one of us, with a huge medical bill or something like that, our whole entire lives could be turned upside down. And next thing you know, you're out on the streets. So it's important to continue to humanize these folks. They are human beings. They are our neighbors, whether they have a roof over their heads or not. And they have lives that they live. They had parents who gave birth to them, and they probably have siblings. They might even have children, but they're human neighbors, and we need to remember that.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody has had experiences with, unhoused people from even when they were a kid. And I'm not so old that they were called hobos when I was a kid, but that was a thing, right? And so I like to tell this little story about one day when I was coming home from work, and we'd had a luncheon, and there was a lot of leftover food, and it was from Nibbler's, so it was a nice little boxed lunch. And I pulled up to my usual corner at 40th Street in the 202. And the man that was always there in his overalls, his short overalls and a t-shirt and a long beard, was standing there. And he was, somebody I usually gave a couple bucks to or did whatever, right? So I had all of these lunches on my seat next to me. And so I stopped and I rolled my window down and I grabbed a roast beef sandwich lunch and I handed it to him, and he looked at it and he handed it right back to me and he said, I don't eat meat. And I've always said that was the day that I learned that beggars can be choosers. And I also think they should be able to. There's not anything, we should not be pushing our beliefs, which is what a lot of groups do. We should not be pushing, here's what you need, all of those things. And so I've been so happy to be part of this group where we are asking people, if there's something that you don't see here, tell us, please tell us, we'll try and get it. I've gotten, for one guy, a military can opener. I mean, he only knew the part number for it. He's like, I know what it is, but I know I can't get into my cans of food if I don't have one. And so it's just really, it's something that is just I don't know. Some people are just unable to process. These are human beings. This could be you. I mean, I think that's the other part of it, is it really, for so many people, this could be you. And, I've seen one man that's come continuously for the 7 years I've been doing this. And he's got, he knows, he's very particular about what he picks up, as he should be. And he's always very pleasant. But it's like, that's his trip for the month, and then off he goes. So just really getting to know those people has been amazing, and hearing some of their stories.
Comment from Matt. He says, it took me having someone take me in and support me for a few weeks before I could replace the paperwork needed just to get a job. Yeah, that missing ID thing. Same thing in that TikTok video, over and over again. You'll see people who are like, yeah, I just am trying to get my ID. Let's see, here's another one. This one comes from Mars again. The field medic that was helping at the giveaways will be back after the summer. She takes blood pressures and does care, recommends other medical aid if she sees people need it. Yep. Roger says, I used to play in an old Hoover town of decaying, very small plywood and random materials homes near a railroad in Michigan when I was a kid. Yeah. Yeah. And that was it's fine when you're playing around, but it's not fun when it's
Not so great if that's your house.
not so great if that's your house. I had a question, of course I forgot it. It was a good one too. One thing that I did write down though, that I want more information on is Bomba socks. What is that?
Oh, so Bombas is a retail company that sells socks over the internet. So now that we're talking about it and we're on Facebook Live, it'll be in everybody's feed. But they're hitches that for every pair that you buy, they donate a pair.
Oh, it's
And
like fun.
yeah. And so it's really, really amazing. And you apply to be one of their partners. They've got a great Facebook page for all of us that are part of the kind of network, so we can talk about how we share them and things. And you're really meant to obviously give them all out. And so we actually, we've given whole boxes to, there's a Rotary Club that does backpacks for unhoused kids every spring and summer, or spring and fall. And so we gave them a box. We give them to Trevor's Vision because they're the shower, they're doing a lot of clothing, stuff like that. But twice a year, they'll survey me and ask about, what have we been doing? And then I'll get an email like 6 weeks later. The last one was, here are 5,000 pairs of socks. And so, then 5,000 pairs of socks show up on my front porch. So it's,
hopefully you have do you have a big garage?
Well, that's why we have a storage unit. That when we got our first grant, I was so relieved because I'd really, like, literally my whole casita was just Atheists Helping the Homeless storage. And my husband was like, really, this is ridiculous. So now that we're in a storage unit, I always think about Joe Z and his, like, if you do a 501c3, then you've got all this administrative costs. And I'm like, I'm able to justify that in my head pretty easily. It's certainly a lot easier to have everything all together and refill everything and have it all in one spot. So
I'm assuming that you don't have any paid staff at all. Everybody's doing this as volunteer. Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The storage unit is truly our only administrative cost. The other money, if we spend the money, it's for things that we haven't had donated that we need to fill in the blanks for stuff. So, like we bought the pop-up tent. That was actually a grant from Go Humanity for our summer project. And we have a volunteer who lived here and then has since moved back to Indiana. And she always gave out our frozen washcloths. We get washcloths cold or wet, put them in a bag, freeze them overnight, and then we hand those out at the giveaway. And that was always her job to hand those out. And so now we have part of that other grant from Go Humanity. We bought a really pretty backpack cooler, and it says Jane's Gems on it because that's really her. She's still funding that from Indiana. Every month she gives us money so we can do that. And it's just, there's things like that are really, really special. I think it really, really gets to people once they're out volunteering and understand, what's happening on the street.
Well, I think that the takeaway for me today is that we can all be and do good without God, right? Like, we don't need God to be good. We can be good without anybody over our heads, threatening us or, whatever. So this, sometimes our Fridays are a little depressing, but I've been smiling the whole time, even though we're talking about like such a difficult topic. You, Sheila, give all of us hope, and your organization gives all of us hope. Is there anything that you want to close with?
No, I think we just love to see everybody out. And I know it's just ridiculously hot, and I totally get if you want to wait till October to come out and hang out. That's great. But like I said before, so many ways to help. If you've got toiletries or something that you want to donate, just send us a DM in Facebook or send an email to info at, it's S. Kruger. No, it's Phoenix at the CBB. Let me put it in here because I can't.
Yeah, Phoenix at, I'm going to put
CBB.org.
Wait, say it again. I'll just
There,
wait.
I
Okay.
just did.
Okay, got it,
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
Yeah,
The
email
CP,
there.
The
Um,
CP, okay.
Yeah, and we'll figure out a way to get it picked up. We've got one of our volunteer couples in Anthem is willing to go anywhere to pick stuff up, and I can go most anywhere too. So just getting involved, it's just really, really super important. We'd love to have everybody come out, help in some way, even if that's voting. That's great. Do it. Just do it. But vote, cash donations, volunteering, the Amazon wish list, all of those things. And really, I think hopefully Mars can back me up. It's really, we have a great time. We have great interactions with the folks that are coming out and with each other and with the Trevor's Vision people. And it's just a really very positive experience.
And I'll tell you what, atheists are more fun than evangelicals. I'm just going to say it out loud. I mean, we really are. So, I mean, they're very nice. I appreciate those folks who follow religion, but I don't want to hear somebody telling me what I should do with my beliefs either. And so atheists,
Yeah.
we have a good time when we hang out. So,
Right.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. This was a lovely day, and I hope everybody has a great weekend. And I hope that you see a little uptick in activity and donations, Sheila.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it a lot.
Anytime. Bye, everybody.